Rich McCuskey, founder of Digital Wheel of Fortune, and I am here today with Mark Westlake, the CEO and founder of GearBrain. GearBrain is a website and source where people can go and look, research, find, and connect IoT devices and solutions. So, hello, Mark.
Hello, Richard. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm just so future, thought that I can never tell if I'm in the 3D current world or if I'm in the 5D future world. So if I phase out, please let me know.
Will do.
We're here to talk about the future of IoT, and it is a very big subject, and it's a big subject that everybody will be needing, learning, and lifetime learning if possible. And we will be covering it in, again, a much broader sense. We'll be covering it also in some aspects of 5 years or even possibly 10 years down the line, but knowing what's going on today and then kind of free imagining or kind of discussions about some simulations or forecasting on how this may go, so we'll just kind of play around with that. So kind of at general, I believe everybody knows what IoT is. So, but here we're really going to be speaking about the futures of the connectivity, leading into security, the eco-friendliness of it, and really on how business strategies are going to have to corporately get much more involved on obviously the future of these solutions and hardware, and it hasn't really been the pandemic that has forced this. It obviously helped a lot in a lot of different directions, but with Moore's law pushing everything twice as fast every year, it also kind of goes along with that, kind of feeding into that difference between technologies and where society is now. And that kind of goes back into that security part and connectivity part and, what are we allowing? What are we doing? And these technical advances are making it happen. And obviously, the environmental pressures that we're now kind of getting along across the board for us to think about everything more creatively, being much more innovative and kind of efficient. So have you seen, I'm sure you've seen it, but has there been anything kind of specific about some of the social contributions and the eco-friendliness that has caught your eye, kind of across the board?
When you think, first, GearBrain, we focus on more of the consumer, right? And it was always been the consumer that when I started the business, I wanted to help the consumer navigate our new connected world that we're moving into, right? And when you think about IoT, it's the third wave in the development of the internet, right? The first wave, we connected billions of computers to each other. Second wave, billions of computers to people. And now we're connecting people's computers and things, devices, right? So as you think about, all these things, it's overwhelming, right? And you're right, social, economics, it does play into this. That's where the privacy issues get into play. Because when you start to think about, when I created GearBrain, it was like, look, all this thing works on, there's three things people are most concerned with. They're concerned with compatibility, connectivity, and security, right? So first thing, let's take a look at connectivity, all right? They will understand that, they want to bring a product home, they want it to connect, right? Simple and easy, right? That's why the Echo did so well. You brought it home, plugged it in, you download the app, it's done, right? So people want simplicity. Second thing, compatibility. As they start to add more and more of these devices, they all work on different wireless protocols. So that's the other challenge that we have here, right? And the issues that are coming up is like, look, I don't want to have 5 apps to control my home. I want one app, right? So that's kind of where we're migrating to now, because I think on average, there's 8 smart devices, and it's growing to be, they think, to 12 by the end of the year, on average, in a person's home. which
Yeah.
is a lot, right? And those devices aren't necessarily your TV, your tablet, your speakers, or anything. That's, security systems, air monitors, smart water sensors, and stuff of that nature, right?
Yeah.
So that's where the security issue comes in. The third piece is because everybody's saying, "Oh, you can hack into a camera, you can hack into my Alexa." It's like, well, first you could, depending on you got to secure the wireless signal, right? That's the big challenge, and because there's no consumer who's going to go around and install security system like they do on a computer, on a sensor, on a camera, or anything like that. It's got to be done by the manufacturer. So these are all the things as a manufacturer, as you start to think about, I got to have really simple ease of use. I got to, have really good connectivity, and it's got to be secure, So whether we're talking smart home wearables, smart cities, smart industries, now you got the virtual world with metaverse coming, where that's going to open up a whole nother can of worms, because now you're in a different, you're using like a headset and all that stuff. And the metaverse is it's going to help, but it's also going to be very challenging. Yes. And it's have to meet all those things.
Please use the term proto-metaverse moving forward. I don't want to give it any impression to anyone out there that the metaverse is even ready to even start to do the things that we've been talking about, promising, kind of all around. So there still goes a long way. And connectivity across non-compatible, kind of hardware is something that we will be bringing up, later on in the show, because there are people, working on it. But it also leads into where I'm going to say some of the higher level aspects of where the IoT is going to come into the eco-friendliness. I know this is going to be a little bit off track, but what I have learned in future school was that, we could use scale is very important, right? Even as a marketer, I thought I understood scale and, all that. And again, I did by definition and kind of how it's used. But when it comes to what you were talking about before, when it comes to the ease of use of scale, right? So it can't be something that's kind of coming out of somewhere else and, you put it in and then its own operating system, its own this, its own that. You can, Apple is probably one of the, kind of best to say that, but the integrations, into that, it really does have to scale everywhere. Again, not the home, not this and all there. But the social and the echo part about where IoT and maybe some other, sectors go into the future is that smartness of using technologies that we have today to cure or fix or better position tomorrow. And one of the aspects of global climate control, or wherever directions we're going with that, is that it is a chemical problem, right? Yes, there's a social aspect of it. Yes, there's all that, but you can actually fix most of the atmospheric kind of global stuff by just being really super efficient, right? That would give us the ability to, to get down to those 2 degrees or kind of something like that when we come to the kind of the non-waste. And, I predict the non-waste aspect of IoT could be a very big, solution or answer to it all.
Absolutely. When you think about, right now you could do certain things in your home, right? Which
actually,
and some of these rose from the commercial side of the business. So for instance, air purification, right? How do we improve the air, right? So you have smart devices that not only are smart air monitors, but they're smart air monitors and purifiers, and they can clean the air and always keep your air in your home clean. Or now you got them in factories, you're going to have them in schools, you're going to have them in cities, you're going to have them pretty much everywhere, right? And that's what IoT really, that's the benefits of this thing. So you're having sensors all over the place, right? That can monitor these things. There's water sensors you could put in, and soil sensors they put in the ground, that can do things, when you think of it from the environment perspective, right? You have situations like, putting in Even as whether you're using your own little smart home irrigation, a sprinkler controller, that ties in with the weather, because it also helps saves water, right? So conserves water in terms of when it's dispersed and how it's dispersed. So you can do a lot of different things. You got pieces now in farming, with John Deere that's got a tractor that's electric, that's got GPS and everything, that can actually, plant, can rototill plant more efficiently than if it was being, driven or operated by a human.
Yes.
So there's those types of technology that's coming out that people many don't hear about, or if they hear it and they forget it. But it's that type of technology is being brought to market because of IoT.
So
there's
exciting.
a lot there. But
I do want to kind of come back. We will go around it, but I am sharing my screen right now with the kind of targeted devices. This is where you started, basically, when it came to everything in your house, right? So this is actually a picture of the Zigbee Alliance, which has now changed to Matter, which I think this would be a good time to talk about that. But as you were mentioning here, again, this is just a kind of a basic thing about lighting and kind of electrical shades, again, your television, your security, your access points, and all the other things that kind of go along with your IP controlled, devices. And so this might be kind of a good time to kind of talk about Matter. Let me just stop sharing. So I don't remember if it's Google who's running it, or
you have all the players. You got Amazon, you got Google, you got Apple, you got all the major players who are, manufacturing and marketing, connected devices.
Yeah,
and that could also act as a hub, right? And I think and what they're trying to do is come up with a standard for wireless protocol, right? They want to, because they know it's one of the three things, right? It's connectivity and compatibility. They want people to be able to bring home a product and easily connect it to whatever they have, right?
Right.
So you get all the big players together, which is great. They come together. They have this now protocol that will allow them to have their devices talk to other devices. The challenge that they're going to have is, and it's not so much Google, Amazon, and everybody. It's each manufacturer has to make a decision. Is it a software update or is it a product update?
Right.
Right. Because some of them, it's a product update. The way they've manufactured their products and have the connectivity in place, they're going to have to come out with a whole Matter compatible or Matter certified device. Which means that if you already own a device, let's say a thermostat, right? That should last for 20 years, a smart thermostat that's supposed to last for 20 years. If you want to use Matter, depending on the manufacturer, I'm not saying everybody, your manufacturer might say it's like Google might say it's just a software update, don't worry about it. Or they might say, look, and if you want Matter, you're going to have to upgrade your
firmware, software,
you might have to go get a whole new thermostat.
Right.
Or some of them might just say, hey, don't worry, it's a software. We just updated it. It's a cloud integration. It's done.
Yeah.
So that's still to be determined. There's still the Zigbee Alliance, which is they're still, everybody's still working digitally.
It's the Connectivity Standards Alliance.
Right. And CSA, right? and they got some big players and they're playing well. But there's also going to be, as a manufacturer, on a side note, right? What do you do on how to differentiate yourself from the competition?
Big time.
That's going to be something that it's to watch. Great, I can bring it home and I can have my Google talk to my Apple HomePod Mini and get them to work together. That's great. But if I want to do a scene or update, create some sort of routine, so when I come home, everything works together, that's a challenge because whose manufacturer app do you have to go to set that up? Because you might or you might not. That's still to be determined. And they are trying to come out with backwards compatibility, but it hasn't been set. because the standard still is, they're still working on the standard.
Right.
You know,
Well, as I see listed in Future World, Q4 this year, 2022, will be, let's just say the test quarter for the big retail, put in a holiday push that will be using Matter as you mentioned, as a unique selling proposition, right? So, this will immediately work into this or that, whatever. So, everyone should be watching out for, Matter. Again, and again, here you go. It's like the software updates, again, might be a little problem in the beginning. There's, again, connections into certain voice things. They say they might have problems, but also, strangely enough, there's a silicon shortage along with a lot of chip shortages and things like that. So you'd never think that we're running out of silicon, but again, that's a point that we're going to be addressing.
Yeah, and what we're hearing is that the protocol, or the standard, the wireless protocol standard, might not be done and approved until November. So then, once that's approved, so yes, everybody's kind of waiting to see, because once it's approved, then you can start to manufacture the devices and distribute it. But you're right. You said it perfectly. It's supply chain management, all this stuff. There's enough material out there for them to buy to manufacture the devices. That's a concern.
Have you seen the Keen home?
What?
Keen, K-E.
Yes.
I'm actually trying to see if I could. I just have their website up, and it was one of the things I learned in research for this and other futures. And again, I think it's like a perfect example about how easy it will be to use what we have today, or kind of close to what we have today, to make a very big difference for tomorrow. So I love this. I mean, I get crazy passionate about kind of some of these things. And so this is just done on the vent area. And since you know about it, you can actually answer, some questions, right? Yep. So just, when I just, apparently it, makes your vent smart kind of versus your entire system smart, right? So you could say, I want, in this example, my baby's room to constantly stay at this temperature. And, I don't care about again, some of these other rooms, the ones that we're barely ever in. Right. And to be able to manage this again, either with your voice or with your smartphone. And, I used to live in one of those big McMansions, a while ago, but we only used 3 rooms. It was like, we were in the family room and, the bedrooms and, the kitchen. And it was like all this, kind of empty space that we were heating and cooling and different things, and always trying to find some ways. So I love the, the idea about you could just put in a bunch of Keen, zone, managers, and just blow air from one side of the house to the second side of the house with your current system, and like save all that money and save all that, carbon in the air, and kind of, save all that. So if we had like a really super smart, home heating and cooling, that's a third of the battle, to climate, change.
And it's when you think about smart home, the devices that really have an impact on the environment, and also have an impact that can help you save money as well. You're talking about, HVAC systems, right? So that's your thermostats, your hot water heaters and stuff, your water systems and everything like that. There's smart water systems that can monitor the water flow, so that, right, God forbid something happens, a pipe breaks, turns the water off, you don't have a lot of wasted water, damage in the house, or what have you, right? Then you get into, like whether it's locks, you get security, you get into, the blinds is another way.
Blinds, yes.
Smart switches, there's energy monitors, there's all these things that can help, even smart sprinkler systems can save you money. I get, we have, because we test all these things, like Google sends us, and now so does Honeywell, they send us updates, every month on how much money we save based on usage of my AC
Mhm.
or my heating system, right? Now, Keen, yes, smart vent is great if you have an AC system or you have forced hot air.
Right.
But if you don't have forced hot air,
Right.
you're gonna have a hard time. But there's solutions for that. You got
Really?
oh yeah, well, Ecobee and Honeywell, or now called Residio, they have smart thermostats that come with sensors, room temperature sensors that you could put in rooms in your house, right? And then you tell the system, okay, I want you to heat my house or cool my house to this degree, but I want it in this room or these
Right.
two rooms.
Yeah.
And it will make sure that those two rooms, it'll monitor the system, make sure those two rooms. Now, other rooms might get hot or colder, but those are the rooms you're in. Now, you could set schedules knowing that, okay, I go to bed every time at 10
Right.
o'clock. So at 10 o'clock, it's going to be this. I wake up at 9. Now it's going to be down here. You could do all these systems, but it's designed for you to save money and also for comfort.
Right. And efficiencies. Right.
Yeah. So eventually you'll just have this in your house. Home
Yeah.
builders are already building new homes. So in the next 5 years, the big thing is right now is what do you do when you move? How do I,
No, I never would have thought of that.
yeah, we've done a lot of articles and stuff on, okay, how do I set everything back to factory reset?
Right.
That's what you got to do. So you're going to have to do factory resets on homes, on all your smart devices. But that may, you got to do those things. But that's what you'll do because you're not taking your locks, you're not taking your thermostat, you're not taking your hot water heater, you're not taking your vents,
blinds, yeah.
your switches and your blind. You might take your blinds, but
Mm.
most likely you won't because they're probably, if you're spending the money that it costs right now to make these blinds,
Right. Pretty custom.
actual blinds themselves, you're going to leave them. Now, there's these little devices like Wise, which is it controls your blinds with
Mhm.
the string, the chain. So you just attach it to that, then you can take that off. That you can take with you.
Yeah.
It's the devices that actually are built into the actual rollers or the curtains, whatever. Yeah, that you'll probably leave.
Yeah. So, again, I wanted to now, again, you've covered it, we've covered it, and I want to bring it a little bit more to the term when it comes to the future of IoT, when the aspect of sensor, right? Because I don't think a regular person or whatever that is really kind of thinking about the sensors that we were talking about, the ones that, again, measure water flow, the ones that measure, kind of heat and all of that, which then leads to wanted to share some forecasts by IDC, estimating there's going to be 41.6 billion IoT devices by 2025, right? So this is not that much into the future. In fact, we're only kind of talking about 3 years, but 41.6 billion. And my other part that I love is capable of generating 79.4 zettabytes, ZB, of data. I just love that term, zettabyte. It's like zettabyte. There's like a zettabyte of information I have to look through, or kind of,
Yeah.
I'm wondering when, how zettabyte will be a future kind of conversation. It's like, it's a zettabyte of stuff. I'm not going to do it and, whatever. But again, we are talking about a very large amount, again, in the billions, of IoT within 3 years. And which kind of leads me to, the other forecast, about, and when it comes down back to the energy, which I would like to go back to, but I want to come, maybe stay with the sensors now, right? Because again, just everything that's in your home, like, again, I don't want everyone thinking, or at least, for this conversation, coming out of something a little bit more than, your device is going to be something that's going to be bigger than an IoT device that's going to be bigger than a cell phone or the size of a cell phone. But when it comes to, again, a lot of these environmental, aspects, and that's where a lot of these new sensors are going, right? So I have some data here, for enabled smart environmental monitoring. It was something like 84% of the IoT deployments that been